It's the final week until the farmer's market, and we've got a ton of work to do. Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. This is Kevin and Sarah. Well, our farmer's market starts next Saturday, and we have got a lot of plants that we need to transplant from their plug trays into bigger pots so that we can sell them at the farmer's market this weekend. We've got some that we need to put into 3-inch pots, and we've got some that we need to put into 4-packs. So that's what we're working on today. The weather continues to be just absolutely crazy here in the Ozarks. When we went to bed last night, it was 35 degrees. When we woke up this morning, it was 60 degrees. And by noon, it's supposed to be back down to 40, and the low tonight is 23. So I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy, and we just need to take advantage of every little bit of warmth we can get to be out here working on things. And, you know, again, this weekend starts our farmer's market.
I would say we have about 25% of what we need in the bigger pots transplanted. So we have a lot of work to do. Our main concern today is to get everything that's kind of big out of their plug trays and into their bigger pots. We've got cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower to put into 4-packs. We've got tomato plants to put into their pots. I've got herbs that are getting big and starting to get a little bit root bound and too big for their plug trays. So we just have a ton of work to do. We've got cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, all of that to do just in a few days.
Right. Now we, if you're not aware, we live pretty rural. The small town that we do the farmer's market at is just a town of about 3,000 people. So we're not doing, when we say we're getting ready for the farmer's market, you know, it's not a huge, big city farmer's market. This is a small town, rural America farmer's market. You know, we'll probably get, you know, maybe 50 customers on a weekend, which is a good weekend for us. But our goal isn't to be, you know, $1 million production farm. It's to sell things to supplement what we need for our family, and to, you know, continue to be able to live a free life and a sustainable life, and a life that allows us to work for ourselves and be happy. So we're not, you know, we're not out there, you know, doing thousands and thousands and thousands of plants. But again, it's just the two of us, so it is a lot of work for us. We don't have any hired hands, and the kids are in school. So that's what we have going on this week. We're going to get started, and we'll show you along in the process. So the growing medium that we use is called Sun Grow Propagation Mix. It's mainly a peat moss mix. It's peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite. And it's a real nice mix. It's easy to work with. We mix it up in this big tub, so we have a lot of it going at once. I'm going to get some more mixed up. First we need to get this stuff out of here so we can use it, and then we'll get another bag going, and I'll show you how we do that. Alright, so these are the bags that we use. They're 2.8 cubic feet. Get one open here. And it's pretty dry when you get it, which is actually pretty nice because they're light, easy to get in the truck and bring home. But you do have to take some time then to rehydrate the peat moss. So what we do is we just put it in this big tub. Spread it around, and I'm going to grab the garden hose and we'll spray it down, and then we'll let it sit for, you know, a half hour or so, and then we'll spray it down again. We'll mix it around. I just use a hoe to mix it around, and we'll do that a few times until we get it to the consistency we want. Within just a couple hours it'll be ready to use. Let me grab the hose. So you're going to use quite a bit of water, more than what you would initially think, because this peat moss really soaks up the water. So you want to get it good and soaked, kind of like, I don't know, wet peanut butter kind of consistency. All right, that's probably good for right now. Let that sit for 15 minutes or half hour, and then we'll come back and mix it around and add some more water.
So the first thing we're working on today is transplanting the rest of the cold weather plants like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, because that is the most important for people to start getting into the ground. And then once we accomplish that, we will move on to more tomatoes and other plants that you'll need to wait a little bit longer to plant in the garden.
I thought I'd show you how we transplant from our little plug trays into, in this case, 3-inch pots. The plug trays that we use to start our seeds in hold 72 plants per tray. But they can't stay in those when you get ready to sell them. So the way we do it is not very high tech like most things around here. We use a tray like this, which is just a cement mixing tray from the hardware store. And we just fill up the 3-inch pots loosely. With the germinating mix. And once we have those filled up pretty loosely, I have a piece of wood that I found that actually works perfect. I just make an indent down in the middle, kind of wiggle that around. It's about the size of the plug trays. And then in this case, these are butternut squash. So what I'm going to do is use a popsicle stick to just take one out of the plug tray, and you can see all the roots there. And then that will go down into the 3-inch pot. Press it down firmly, but not too tight. And then bring some of the soil back in to fill in. And then fill up the pot to the line where it's considered full. Now if like sometimes tomato plants and things like that will get pretty long and lanky in the plug tray. This is the time where you can kind of correct that by really putting it deeper down into the soil when you're transplanting. So you can see these aren't too root bound. They look really nice and healthy. So we'll just put those in. It's not a hard process. It's a little time consuming. I'm sure they make fancy machines that will do some of the work for you, but on the scale that we're doing it, you know, we enjoy being out here working, and we enjoy getting our hands in the dirt, so we don't mind the work at all. And this is how we do it. We got a lot of plants done today. The weatherman was correct though. It is starting to get cold, so we're going to try to finish up. Actually, this is the last tray I have to do today, and then we need to get the things into the heat boxes because it was almost 70 earlier today, and the low tonight is 26. So, and then tomorrow I think the high is only in the lower 40s. So crazy weather, but it's coming. We're hoping that we'll be able to take a lot of plants to the farmer's market this weekend, but between Friday and Saturday night, the low is supposed to be 23, which means Saturday morning when we wake up for the farmer's market, which we normally try to get on the road by 6:30, it's still only going to be in the 20s, so we may not be able to bring some of the really cold, the plants that can't be in the cold at all. We might only be able to bring the cold loving plants like the brassicas and things like that. Tomatoes and stuff may need to stay home this week, but we'll see. We might be able to bring some along and keep them in the car until later in the day when it warms up, and then bring them out. So that's part of the fun of being a homesteader. You just never know what's gonna be thrown your way, but we'll be at the farmer's market this weekend. Rain or shine, cold or hot, we'll be there.
We've found that a very cost-effective way to label each one of our plants for sale is to use popsicle sticks. We found that we could get 1,000 popsicle sticks from Walmart for $5. And then we just use a permanent marker and write on one side what type of plant it is, like a cucumber plant, and on the other side then we write the variety. I think that will work really well for us, and it will keep things pretty clear for our customers, and really it's very cost effective for us.
Alright, so we're all done repotting plants for the day. We've been out here a good 7 or 8 hours and we got a lot done. You can see everything's looking great, but now it's time to start protecting everything for the night because it's going to get cold. So if you haven't seen the video that I did about building these heat boxes, I'll put a link to that here, but we're going to show you a little more in depth about exactly how we use them today. During the day, we cover them with a tarp so we can still water our plants and it doesn't hurt the boxes. Then at night, we take everything off, open them up, put them inside, turn on the heat lamps, and they'll stay good. So we're going to get started because it's really starting to drop fast and we need to get these plants protected. Alright, so we got this one all loaded up. You can see we were able to fit 18 flats in this one, which is great. The heat lamp is down here. It's a 250 watt heat lamp. We'll go ahead and plug that in. Perfect. Now that heat lamp on average keeps this about 20 degrees warmer than it is outside. So if it's going to get down to about 25 tonight, it'll stay about 45 degrees inside this box, which is plenty warm to keep these plants healthy overnight. And then tomorrow, as soon as the greenhouse starts to warm back up, we'll just take them all back out and start all over again. So again, all we do is plug in that heat lamp, and you can see I've left plenty of space between the front of that heat lamp and where the plant starts. So there's no fear of the plastic melting on the plants or anything like that. And there's plenty of room on each side of the heat lamp so that we don't really have to worry about the wood catching on fire. These heat lamps are actually designed to be up in the ceiling and for the heat to come straight down. So there's really not much heat. You can put your hands right on the sides of the bulb, and there's not much heat that comes off the sides of the bulb. There's just heat that comes off the front, and that's perfect for this situation. And being infrared, it still gives the plants, their dark period overnight, so it's a win-win. So I'm going to close this up, and then we'll cover this one with a tarp, and we'll get moving on to the next one. All the plants are in and protected. These bigger brassicas, some cauliflower and broccoli and things, these are actually going to be for our own garden, but they can take a little bit of frost, so we're going to leave those out. But we did put them on top of the boxes, so hopefully they'll get just a little bit of heat at least coming up through that glass, and it'll help keep the soil a little warm in their pots.
And it can act as kind of a layer of insulation for the heat boxes inside, a little insulation on top.
So you guys, it's been a long day. We've spent the entire day working out here in the greenhouse. It's starting to get cold. Now it's time to go inside, make dinner, and I need to get a fire started, and it's been a long day.
It has. So you guys, thanks so much for stopping by today. If you are not a subscriber yet and you like what you see right now, is a great time for you to hit the subscribe button below. For all of you traditionalists who come by every day to watch our videos, thank you so much. And before you go, if you will share this video with your family and friends, we would appreciate that. Go ahead and leave us a comment or a question. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.
So the first thing we're working on today is transplanting the rest of the cold weather plants like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, because that is the most important for people to start getting into the ground. And then once we accomplish that, we will move on to more tomatoes and other plants that you'll need to wait a little bit longer to plant in the garden.